All right, Larry Krueger back with you for another Pig in a Pickle Krug Show NFL Draft Profile. And today we're going to talk about one of the guys that I've really loved here in the last couple of weeks, and that is Desjaun Johnson, who wears number 1 for the University of Toledo. Terrific player, absolutely terrific player, and I love this guy in the draft. Now, what is Desjuan Johnson? First of all, he is he jumped out to me because I was watching some of the practices, some of the video that my buddy sent me from some of the East West Shrine practices leading into that All-Star game earlier this year. And this guy, Desjuan Johnson, was totally unblockable during these East West game practices. And when you watch him, he's really impressive. He's 6'2", about 270 pounds. Now, he's played defensive tackle, but he's kind of a defensive tackle, defensive end tweener. What he is insanely quick. I mean, when you're talking about quickness off the snap, this guy's got it in huge measure. He's very, very quick off the snap. He's kind of a tweener. He's a little bit of a defensive tackle. He's a little bit of a defensive end. As I said, he's 6'2", 270 pounds. What he is a very productive collegiate football player. He was first team All MAC this year. He's a kid who's from Detroit, Michigan. He went to East English Village Prep, and then obviously went on to Toledo, and he's done a great job for Toledo, the same school that the Niners took Samuel Womack out of just a year ago. But his major was interdisciplinary studies. And this kid was a really a good football player the entire time. Preseason, he was a first team All MAC by Athlon's magazine. So 2021, he had 70 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 12.5 tackles for loss. That was 2021. 2020, he was a second team All MAC performer, led the team in tackles that year. And led the team in sacks, I should say, as well. 2022, this last year, he had 16.5 tackles for loss and 5.5 sacks. So he comes from a family of football players. His father played college football at the University of Kansas. He has 3 brothers, 2 sisters, so 6 kids in his family, big family. And, if you watch Desjaun Johnson, I mean, what really jumps out at you is just the quickness off the snap is something you can't teach. Had a phenomenal game in 2021 against Northern Illinois where he had 11 tackles. And, what he really is an undersized interior rusher. So, like in the pros, I think that you probably bulk him up from 6'2", 270 to more like 6'2", 280, 285, and use him as, kind of the way the Niners use Kevin Givens as an interior rusher, on passing downs. But man, you're talking about a versatile, athletic, productive defensive lineman who dominated the MAC title game. If you saw him in the MAC title game this year, it was like his personal showcase. I mean, you're talking about the biggest game of the year. Now, this is another thing that I always look at. What is your biggest game of the year? And more times than not, it's either your rivalry game or it's your conference title game or it's the bowl game. And if you watch that MAC title game, you could not watch it without seeing Desjuan Johnson, who wears number 1, by the way, just fly all over the field. Dominated, knifing into the backfield, plays against the run, folding running backs, heating up the pocket on the quarterback, living in the opponent's backfield. Now, what the move that he's got that right now he could absolutely have success with in the NFL, he's got a nice, left-handed club, right-handed swim move. So he'll come out, club you with the left, and then swim by you. And he's got the combination down where he's clubbing you and dipping that shoulder and getting leverage and getting beyond you. And it's uncanny how quick he is off the snap. I mean, that's what really jumps out about Desjuan Johnson. This guy is quick off the snap. And we're talking about somebody who's playing at about 275. So I think he's got the frame to potentially put on, maybe 5 to 10 more pounds and just be a really good interior situational rusher. Maybe you got a big two gapper on first and second down, and now it's an obvious passing down. That guy comes off the field, and Desjuan Johnson from Toledo steps on the field, and then he's going to get up the field. I mean, in this wide nine defensive alignment that the Niners use, there's a lot of space, and if you have a quickness advantage, you can wreak havoc. We've seen Kevin Givens do it. We've seen it to a lesser degree with DJ Jones, but this guy's club move and swim combo is just, it's lethal. And if you look at his last couple seasons, 14 and a half career sacks, 10 of them have come in the last two seasons for the Rockets. So Toledo Rockets, the MAC is getting better and better and better. It used to be when you saw somebody come out of the MAC, you'd be like, I wonder about the level of competition. Wonder no longer. I mean, the MAC is a legitimate big time conference. And when this guy was first team all MAC, you're sitting there going, okay, let me see the film. And the film does not disappoint. So right now, I think he could play defensive end. And he's got enough of a pass rush. He's not your typical 6'5", 6'6" long defensive end who's going to bat down a bunch of passes. But the combination of the motor, the quickness, the hand strength, the hand quickness, the hand movement, he's in some ways he's a little bit more advanced than you would expect to see from a player coming out of Toledo. But man, he was well coached. There's no question he was well coached. And I just love the combination of his desire, his motor. He's versatile, he's productive, he's athletic, he can play inside, he can play outside. Really like this player. Now let's look at the 49er defensive line. Right now, the only guys they have signed up for next year, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, who was terrible at the end of the year, Kevin Givens, who's a restricted free agent, Drake Jackson, who tailed off at the end of his rookie year, and Kalia Davis, who really didn't play at all. He didn't play at all from scrimmage this year. So he was on the NFI list most of the year, rehabbing an injury that he had at Central Florida before jumping into the draft. So, Kalia Davis gives you an inside pass rusher. Kevin Givens is definitely an inside pass rusher. Armstead will give you some pass rush inside. But like if the 49ers don't want to bring back a T.Y. McGill, you could replace him with Desjuan Johnson. If the 49ers don't want to bring back Mo Hurst, you could replace him with Desjuan Johnson. The thing I really love about Johnson is just that when you watch him, there's no wasted movement. I mean, this guy will slip blocks with great quickness, but he also has great strength in his hands to power by blockers if he gets stoned in the hole. So I really love what I've seen from this kid, and the fact that he is incredibly productive, very versatile, very athletic. I'm looking at that 49er defensive a line right now, and it's like, okay, well, if your priority in the free agent market is if you said, who's your defensive priority to re-sign? I'd probably say my first defensive priority would be Jimmy Ward. My second defensive priority would be probably Emmanuel Mosley. So, the two guys that I want to bring back on the defense for sure are in the secondary. So that means that, the 49ers need some depth up front. And what the Niners have is they don't have a day one pick. And what they have is a lot of picks on day three. And they're probably going to be a very attractive destination for the undrafted players. I expect Desjuan Johnson to probably wind up being drafted, maybe round 6, could be as late as round 7. But yeah, if you could draft a guy like Desjuan Johnson out of Toledo in the 6th round or 7th round, what you're going to get is going to be very impressive. You're going to get a guy who's got, shows up with a tremendous motor and is scheme versatile. And you want to rush him in as an interior rusher, go right ahead. You want to put him off an edge, you probably could do that as well. There's a lot to like. And if you can sign Mosley and you can sign Jimmy Ward, and then you can maybe let, based on what I've seen, I would prioritize Mosley and Jimmy Ward. I'd love to bring back Amenahue. I'd love to bring back Jordan Willis. I'd love to bring back Samson Ebukam. But I think it's going to be difficult to bring back the veteran tackles. Hassan Ridgeway, Mo Hurst, Kerry Hyder, all may get multiple offers to go somewhere else, especially Ridgeway and McGill because they played, really well this last year. I don't know that the Niners can afford to pay all these free agents. I mean, they're going to have to make some really, really difficult decisions. And they may have to say goodbye to T.Y. McGill. They may have to say, Mo Hurst, we can't afford you. They may have to let Kerry Hyder move on in free agency. And they're going to have a need for some defensive end / tackles, the kind of guys that have the versatility to play inside, but also have the speed to play off the edge. And Desjaun Johnson from the Toledo Rockets is one of those guys. So if he's there on day 3, I absolutely would love to see the 49ers grab him. All right, that's your Pig in a Pickle Krug Show NFL Draft Profile. We hope you enjoyed it.